So now let's go in the opposite direction and start revoking or removing privileges using the revoke command. Connect as Brad. Let's go and remove Janet's access to the dogs table, which is owned by Brad, and we just lost the paste again. And let's go into System and remove Brad's access to the Create Table system privilege. So Brad can't create tables anymore. So let's go to Brad and let's prove that. And let's create a dummy table. And it doesn't have the privilege anymore. So what we're actually trying to show here is that system privileges will not be removed in a cascade form. So because Brad granted the create table privilege to Janet and he had the with admin option, it allowed him, it means that Janet can actually still create tables even though Brad has had his create table system privilege revoked. The only way to revoke indirectly with admin system privilege is to revoke specifically. So we actually have to go back into system and specifically revoke the privilege from the user Janet. So now if we connect to Janet again and we try to create a table, she won't be able to do it. All I've shown you there is that system privileges do not cascade. In other words, when you drop a system privilege from one user, that is the with admin option that's granted to someone else, it does not pull it from the other person. The concept behind it is, again, it's logical and structural. If one person, such as a DBA, grants a privilege to someone else, leaves the company, you don't want to drop everything when you drop that user. Typically, tables that are stored in a schema that you grant access to objects are application type things. So if you were to pull access from an application object, you probably want to pull that from everyone. That's why it cascades with object privileges and not system privileges. Or more specifically, that's why it doesn't cascade with system privileges, to actually be precise about it. So now, let's go and connect as the shows user, and let's muck around with that a little bit. Let's grant some stuff to Brad. So we're going to let Brad have select access to the city table. We're also going to let Brad have select access to the state table. We're looking at object privileges now, with the grant option, and we're going to allow Brad to have access select on the country table, also with the grant option. Note, this is with the grant option, not with the with admin option. Difference: admin, grant. Administration, grant on database data versus metadata with system privileges. Let's clear the screen here and let's see what Brad can see in the city. He can see the cities, and can he see the states? Yes, he can. So now, let me try to grant access to Janet. That gives me an error. That succeeds. And that succeeds. Why? Because Brad was given access to the shows city table, but not with the grant option. So Brad cannot grant access to anyone else on the city table, but he can grant access to other people on the shows in the country table because he does have the grant option. So we've shown that Janet can see 2 tables and not 3. What we can now do is we can actually go and revoke stuff. So let's go and connect to shows again. Let's revoke select access on state from Brad. So Brad can no longer see the state table. If we connect to Janet, we will find that Janet can still see the country table, but she can't see the state table. Why? Because the privilege cascade removed when you pulled it from Brad. Even though he granted the grant option to Janet, it actually pulled it from Janet as well. That's the difference between cascading on objects and system privileges. That's the revoke command in action.